Hello everybody, this is Paul Pace, and I'm presenting to you this paper specifically on a secure data processing system using parallel processing on an FPGA to provide higher data security on IoT devices. Now, this does just a high-level view of that title. Basically, the specific issue they're looking at is the usage of IoT devices have caused essentially a growth in critical infrastructure security risks due to just the number of attack vectors that are present. So the goal of the project is to design and integrate an IoT computer vision sensor and the data related into an FPGA to collect and transmit that data, optimize it so that it would fit the latest security standards and be as secure as possible using end-to-end encryption, and then pipeline that structure to make it as smooth as possible and as quickly as possible. Now, they are specifically using an FPGA because basically the hardware doesn't really exist for high security IoT systems at this moment, especially when you're talking about medical data, which is specifically what they're worried about. Now, what they're going to be using is they're using embedded systems to integrate everything. They're specifically trying to use a FPGA and using secure data processing. So it's actually a secure and safe like data processing technique that they're using. And then it's producing logs that evades attacks. It uses a real-time system and network connections actually, so it's kind of interesting. It's very much a novel concept in reality. So a lot of this, all the necessary architecture doesn't exist right now, so they're trying to do it as low level as possible. Hopefully in the future, you'll see companies like Arduino and the Raspberry Pi Foundation really making advances here. So the data is collected from this system over here. So it's gathering data from the patient office, the inpatient office, and then it's transmitting that, converting it, and sending it to the healthcare provider's database. And this is kind of the general structure of their algorithm that they're using on the actual hardware. Once again, this is a high-level view of the actual architecture. There's a lot of details in the paper itself. So the secure so the data processing method they used was an SSPT technique, and it provided higher security, but there were still many issues that they found actually in their conclusions. So this SSPT was just used on Altera and Spartan, which are hardware emulation systems, and just as you can see, the computation time is better than what is available, and the maximum frequency is higher. The number of rounds, though, not so good on Altera there. It is definitely an interesting concept overall, but basically, it's a rather powerful concept. But it's not really accessible. It's using FPGA, so only engineers are really going to be able to work with this. And yes, typically on the large city scale infrastructure, this is done. But a lot of IoT benefits from the concept of it being capable of being anonymized very quickly. You could set up whole IoT networks. There's a system using ESP32 called the LoRa network. And there are concepts currently being designed to possibly make a text at least based communication system that's completely anonymized using blockchains. They're not considering those. They're not considering the fact that standards can sometimes arise from using these flawed products and allowing thousands of people to work on them using open source software. But it's still very, very valuable and very important to also consider that in these very specific use cases, especially using computer vision, especially with medical equipment, very frequently you're going to have to use much lower level systems. But I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this presentation. I'll provide this presentation here in the video form, as well as a link to this paper in the video description. I do hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. This has been Paul, and I hope you have a wonderful day.